It's 6 p.m. on a Sunday here in Seoul. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Paul Yi. We begin with the latest on the health scare that has Korea on alert. The number of confirmed cases of Middle East Respiratory Syndrome in Korea now stands at 15, and the nation's health ministry says the coming week will be crucial in preventing the spread of the virus. As for today, the ministry took a step to better monitor its progress. Kim Min-ji reports.
The government said Sunday that it will set up a task force to enhance monitoring of the MERS virus and do all it can to contain the viral disease.
We will launch a task force of government officials and civilians to make every effort to combat the virus. We will find the cause of the disease and how it was spread.
This comes as the number of confirmed cases of MERS in Korea rose to 15 on Sunday. With the number of patients rising quickly in recent days, the government is being criticized for its slow response and lack of effective measures to prevent further transmissions of the virus. The Defense Ministry, meanwhile, said it has quarantined roughly 30 soldiers in barracks in the central part of the city after a serviceman from the same unit said he had recently had contact with his mother, who was infected with the virus. A military official said tests are underway, although the chance of infection is low, as the serviceman has so far not shown any symptoms of the disease. The health ministry says the coming week will be crucial in preventing the spread of the virus, as the first person to contract the disease was diagnosed just over 2 weeks ago, and the virus has an incubation period of 14 days. The virus is still relatively new to humans after first having appeared in Saudi Arabia 3 years ago. Since then, there has been more than 1,100 reported cases in over 20 countries. There is no vaccine or treatment for the disease, which has a fatality rate of about 40%. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
South Korea's top diplomat Yoon Byung-se has reaffirmed his government's focus on improving relations with Japan, but said one of the biggest remaining obstacles is the so-called comfort women issue. Yoon told reporters on Friday that Japan should first apologize for its military's sexual enslavement of Asian women during World War II. He also pointed to historical disputes such as serious challenges, including Tokyo's bid to list wartime industrial facilities where Koreans perform forced labor as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. However, Seoul's foreign minister also hinted that some progress is being made, saying that the resumption of the trilateral summit between Korea, Japan, and China is under review. One of the few remaining Korean survivors of Japan's wartime sexual slavery program, Kim Bokdong, has been honored by an international agency for her efforts to raise awareness of the comfort women issue. Earlier this month, the 89-year-old was honored as one of the top 100 information heroes by the Paris group Reporters Without Borders. International historians say as many as 200,000 women were forced to serve Japanese soldiers in military brothels in World War II. The list pays tribute to leading individuals who promote freedom under the banner of universal human rights. Other renowned recipients include American civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr., South Africa's Nelson Mandela, and Myanmar's Aung San Suu Kyi. The only way to keep a war from breaking out on the Korean peninsula, according to Pyongyang, is for North Korea to boost its defense capabilities and maintain a balance of forces with the U.S. This statement follows the North's criticism of last week's trilateral meeting between the top nuclear envoys of South Korea, the U.S., and Japan. Na Hong-kyung has more.
North Korea has once again blamed the U.S. for quashing the chances of nuclear disarmament on the Korean peninsula. In a statement released on Sunday, the regime's foreign ministry said Washington's evil perspective, which always slanders whatever North Korea does, has finally ruined the possibility of denuclearization on the peninsula. It went on to pledge a balance of forces, saying North Korea's nuclear arsenal and missiles are self-defensive deterrents to cope with the constant threat of a nuclear and military invasion from Washington, adding that they are neither a means of threatening anyone nor a bargaining chip for something. The statement comes after the top nuclear negotiators from South Korea, the U.S., and Japan agreed last week in Seoul to ramp up pressure on Pyongyang. The North criticized Washington for what it said at the trilateral meeting. The regime said the U.S. distorted the truth and was trying to make it look like Washington wanted to hold dialogue, but North Korea refused, when in fact it's the other way around. Sunday's statement also comes a day after the defense chiefs of South Korea, the U.S., and Japan met at the annual Asia Security Summit, also known as the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore. There, the three countries vowed to respond sternly to North Korea's provocations, especially the regime's recent claim that it test-fired a submarine-launched ballistic missile. 나현경, Arirang News.
And in the midst of heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula, the two Koreas will start working on a 6-month excavation project at the North Korean's border town of Kaesong. South Korea's unification ministry said Sunday that a group of 11 experts and officials will cross the border on Monday, followed by some 70 others over the next 6 months. The two Koreas will excavate the site on Manwol-dae, a Goryeo Dynasty palace in Kaesong that was registered as a World Cultural Heritage Site in 2013. The Inter-Korean project was launched in 2007 and continued on and off due to various standoffs between the two Koreas before resuming again in July last year. North Korea has been struggling with chronic food shortages, but the United Nations is now warning this year may be the worst in decades. The UN resident coordinator for the North Korea, Kuram Isaac-kai, says he's extremely concerned about the impact of a severe drought, raising concerns of widespread hunger. He added that annual rainfall in the north has fallen to a 30-year record low, affecting water crucial to reservoirs and hydroelectric power. The UN official stressed that food insecurity already affects 70% of the North's roughly 25 million residents. In order to fill the gap, he said Pyongyang may have to reach out to neighboring countries such as India, China, and Russia. The volume of shadow banking transactions in Korea climbed to more than $1.35 trillion as of last year. That's an increase of nearly 12% from the previous year. The shadow banking sector involves non-bank financial intermediaries that provide services that are similar to those of traditional banks but are not subject to the same strict regulations. A report by the Financial Stability Board says the country's shadow banking sector accounted for about 110% of the GDP in 2013, putting Korea at 7th on a list of 26 nations. The Netherlands topped the list, followed by Britain and Switzerland. It's no surprise that many Koreans love their domestic beers, but fresh industry data suggests that their tastes are shifting to imported labels. According to supermarket chain Home Plus, sales of imported beer so far this year have jumped over 40% compared to the same period last year. The figure marks a steady upward trend since 2009. Home Plus attributes a spike in sales to benefits from free trade agreements over the last couple years. As a result, more and more retail outlets have been stocking imported brands that are competing in price and selection with domestic brands. If you've seen the blockbuster movie Iron Man, you know the protagonist becomes a superhero by putting on a powerful suit. A team of researchers here in Korea have applied the same idea to create a device for people who have trouble moving their lower limbs. Park Se-young has the story.
This wearable robot can make your legs stronger and faster. Developed by a team of scientists at Seoul's Seogang University, the robot's 25 sensors measure how your legs are working and then activate motors to aid their movement. For example, some sensors analyze foot pressure so the robot can determine how much to supplement the user's natural walking ability. And that's just one of 2,000 calculations the robot can make in a second.
Whatever the user's intention, our robot can add strength to all movements precisely and without resistance.
This new machine is expected to be particularly helpful for patients with leg injuries and disabilities. The robot's walking function may even be able to help patients suffering from complete paralysis. Its motors can generate movement from scratch, and because of its many sensors, those movements look natural. With potential to help patients undergoing rehabilitation, the robot is slated for commercial development in a year. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
And finally, taking a look at the weather, most of the country is under a mix of sun and clouds at this hour. The mercury shot back up from yesterday. Seoul and its surrounding regions peaked at a daytime high of 30 degrees Celsius, while Daegu and Busan reached 29 and 26. Looking ahead, expect warm, sunny conditions nationwide to start off the new week, ahead of overcast skies and showers, which will move in late Tuesday. Now let's check on the weather around the world. And that brings us to the end of our newscast. Thank you for watching. More coming up at 10 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.